Discover the incredible maid who said no to a millionaire CEO, transforming his life in 30 days. Maria woke before dawn, the pale light creeping through the curtains of her modest apartment in suburban Atlanta. The air was thick with fatigue, but her heart raced with purpose. Another day to fight for her kids, another day to show them the value of hard work. As she tied her hair back, she thought of her children, Lucas and Sophia, sleeping soundly in their small bedroom. She took a deep breath, filled with the hopeful determination that defined her, before stepping into the cool morning air. With 2 jobs, Maria juggled cleaning homes and picking up shifts at a local diner. Every dollar she earned was a step towards a better life for her children. She couldn't afford to dream about riches. Her dreams were more grounded: school supplies, a safe neighborhood, food on the table. And her pride? It burned bright, like a flame that refused to be extinguished. Her day took an unexpected turn when she accepted a job at the penthouse of Jack, a millionaire CEO who oozed success. The first time she entered that luxurious space, her heart dropped. Golden fixtures glimmered, and expensive artwork adorned the walls. Maria felt like a ghost in this glittering world, but she squared her shoulders and got to work, sweeping away the sparkling veneer. Yet, there was a sadness in Jack's eyes that she noticed as they exchanged polite words. It broke her heart a little every time he walked by, a contrast to the power he held. Behind the brand-new suits and polished floors was a man drowning in loneliness. She didn't know it yet, but that brief eye contact, that faint smile exchanged over a dust rag, was about to change everything. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and as Maria cleaned, she shared her world with Jack, the worries of her family, the joys of her children. Her honesty pierced his carefully constructed walls. In return, she got snippets of Jack's life, the cutthroat business decisions that haunted him. And then came the day he announced plans to close a local factory. Maria felt the world shatter around her. The laughter of her neighbors, the vibrant energy of their community, it all hung by a thread. Standing in the shimmering kitchen that day, her voice trembled but was fierce. Those jobs mean everything to us. They're not just numbers to tweak for profit. Jack's startled eyes met hers, and for the first time, he saw beyond the numbers. But trouble loomed. Jack's ruthless partners saw Maria's influence as a weakness. They'd stop at nothing to protect their stakes and sought to pit him against her. The shadows of corporate greed threatened his connection with her. Maria felt her heart race as she prepared for the inevitable confrontation that night. Would she stand up for what she believed in, risking everything? The fire within her sparked like never before. The stakes were high, and with it came the hope that Jack might awaken to the truth of their lives, what it meant to truly lead. Would they find common ground, or would ambition drive them apart? As the sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Maria's heart thudded in her chest. She had been cleaning Jack's penthouse for long enough to know that it was now or never. Tonight, she had to face him, face the man torn between his ambition and the aching truth she had laid bare before him. In the silence of the luxurious kitchen, feelings of doubt began to creep in. What did she know about business? What could her opinion do against the mighty grip of Jack's partners? But then she thought of Lucas and Sophia and the life she dreamed of for them. That thought ignited her resolve. When Jack finally arrived home, he looked exhausted, his sharp suit slightly crumpled. Maria's heart sank a little at the sight of his weariness. He appeared almost as if he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. As he walked in, she took a deep breath, ready to confront him but also to reach out. After all, he was, in a way, a wounded soul searching for direction. "Jack," she started, her voice steady yet soft, "can we talk?" He paused, surprise flickering in his eyes. They hadn't discussed anything personal before, their interactions had been pleasant but formal. It was a tension she had hoped to break. "Sure," he replied, leading her to the sleek, modern dining table. The contrast between their worlds felt palpable, the glittering luxury surrounding them filled with shadows of uncertainty. Maria didn't waste time. "I know about the factory," she said, her voice firm. "I can't stand by and watch you destroy lives. These people, their families. They depend on those jobs." Jack's features hardened for a moment before softening. "Maria, you don't understand how my decisions work. It's not just me. There are stakeholders, projections, numbers," he replied, feeling the familiar tension of business pressure closing in. "Numbers? You mean people's dreams?" Maria shot back, her voice rising. "Come on, Jack. You're letting them reduce those lives down to mere digits. You need to care." For a moment, silence settled between them, heavy and thick. Maria studied his face, searching for a flicker of understanding. She could see the storm brewing behind his blue eyes, the struggle of a man torn between professional obligation and moral imperative. "I didn't mean to," he began but faltered, glancing away. "You're right. I've been so focused on the bottom line, I forgot what it really means to lead." His voice caught, a deep sincerity that sent warmth through Maria. As they spoke, Maria recounted stories of her neighbors, a united front of hard work and determination. Jack listened intently, his expression shifting as he took in her words, each one unraveling threads of indifference that had wound around him. "Maybe we can think of another way?" Jack mused, pulsing with a newfound energy. "A way to save those jobs while still ensuring my company stays afloat." "You really mean that?" Maria dared to hope, her heart swelling with a feeling that perhaps, just maybe, they could forge a path together, but then, as they released a breath of tentative relief, shadows loomed further. The phone rang, slicing through the tension like a knife, and Jack answered. Maria watched his face shift from hope to wariness as he listened. When he hung up, a storm brewed in his eyes. "It's my partners, they're not willing to budge. They're going to push forward with closing that factory, no matter what I say." Maria felt her heart plummet. The battle ahead felt daunting. Could they really fight against a tide that seemed unyielding? Isn't it worth fighting for? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Jack met her gaze, and in that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them. They were two souls poised at a crossroads, struggling not just for themselves but for their communities. As they faced the impending storm, Maria felt a flicker of possibility ignite within her. "Let us fight together," Jack finally said, determination filling his voice. But just as hope surged within her, the door swung open. A figure stepped inside, a tall man in a crisp suit with an vengeful gleam in his eye. "Let us talk about your little engagement with the MAID, Jack. I think we need to reconsider our partnership," he sneered, fear clawed at Maria's insides. This was the moment she dreaded. How to combat the dark undercurrents that threatened to tear them apart? Is this the end before it's even begun? She wondered, gripping the edge of the table, ready to brace herself for the battle ahead. Maria's heart raced as the imposing man advanced into the penthouse, all sharp lines and cold intent. She could feel the weight of his gaze resting on her, a palpable reminder that she was an outsider in this world of wealth and strategy. Jack stood his ground, but Maria noticed the tension in his jaw, a warning of an impending clash. "Who the hell are you?" Jack's voice cut through the thick tension, sharp and protective. The moment teemed with unspoken emotions, but she had to keep her focus. They couldn't let fear of this man silence their fight. "I'm someone who knows what it takes to run a successful business," the man replied, his voice dripping with condescension. "And I don't think I need to remind you, Jack, that personal attachments can get in the way of profit." Maria felt a rush of anger. "You're talking about people's lives," she exclaimed, her voice trembling yet steady. "They work hard for those jobs while you sit up there in your office, playing God with their futures. The man turned his attention to her, eyebrows raised, as if doubting her worthiness to speak. "And who exactly are you? Just a maid trying to play in the big leagues?" Jack stepped closer to Maria, the protective energy surrounding them. "She is someone who cares, far more than you or your partners ever will. Maria sees the human cost of what we're discussing while you sit here trying to intimidate us." There was fire in his voice, igniting embers inside Maria's heart. The man smirked, unfazed. "Care 1T pay the bills, Jack. You have investors to please. This affair with the maid? It needs to end now." Jack's expression shifted, uncertainty creeping back in. She could see the flickering doubts churn within him, the bond they had just started to form shaken by this man's threats. "I'm not letting this go that easily. We can find a way stop." The man shouted, cutting Jack off. "Those people 1T matter when you're facing bankruptcy. And if I have to get my hands dirty to fix this, so be it." The room was steeped in silence, a fragile balance hanging on a knife's edge. Maria felt a chill run down her spine. What Jack had begun to embrace felt perilous now, like teetering at the edge of a cliff, the storm brewing below waiting for them to fall. "You can't make decisions for us, not when it comes to people's lives," Maria pressed, desperation lacing her words. She needed Jack to see the truth clearly, to understand how to resist the grasp of a man whose only goal was control. From the corner of her eye, she saw Jack's shoulders tense. "You misjudge me if you think I'll let fear rule my choices. I 1T back down. Not from you, not from anyone." His voice rang out an anthem of defiance. The man chuckled, amusement mingling with irritation. "You think you can stand up to me? You will lose everything, your job, your reputation, and in the end, nothing but regret." As Maria held Jack's gaze, she sensed something shift profoundly. She stepped forward, her heart thundering with a mix of anxiety and courage. "Regret? Regret is what I live every day for, not standing up to injustice. I will not let fear dictate my life or my future." Now it was Jack's turn to look at her. A flicker of recognition sparked between them, stronger than the man's threat. Maybe this was the moment they needed to ignite a collective courage, but when the man smirked, tightening the reins of control in the room, Maria's resolve wavered. The door slammed shut behind him, sealing them in a tense silence, an impasse pregnant with possibilities. "Now what?" Jack asked, turning to face her fully, his expression shifting from defiance to concern. "What if he's right? What if we can't win?" As uncertainty flooded the atmosphere again, Maria took a deep breath. "We find a way to make our fight matter, to show them that we are louder than their money." Jack looked searchingly into her eyes, deepening the connection they had begun to forge. "So you're telling me you're ready to go to war for these families? To fight alongside me?" The stakes had never felt higher, yet in that moment, an exhilarating surge of resolve pulsated through Maria. Could they really face the tide together? But just as hope painted their shared silence, a low rumble echoed from the penthouse phone. Its persistent ringing broke the tension again. A fateful message awaited them that could change everything. Would it bring them closer to saving the factory or shatter their dreams once more? Maria's heart pounded as the phone continued to ring, its sound slicing through the tension in the room. Each chime felt like an urgent call to action, pulling her from doubt back to the present moment. Jack's gaze flickered between the phone and Maria, confusion etched on his face. What if it's him again? What if he is plotting something worse? The anxiety in his voice only added to her growing sense of urgency. Then we'll face it together, she said, surprising even herself with the firmness in her voice. She couldn't let fear dictate their next move. We can't let him control us. Jack nodded, a spark of determination igniting within him. You're right. He reached for the phone, his hand steady, showing bravery as he pressed the speaker button. Let us see what he wants. The voice that came through was as smooth as silk, laced with a hint of amusement. Jack, my old friend. I see you've had some unexpected company. Enough games. What do you want? Jack fired back, tone sharp, cutting through the man's pretense. I want to make a deal. You and I both know there's so much at stake. We can come to an understanding. I'm willing to remove my pressure if you agree to walk away from her. The sneer in his words was tangible, reaching through the speaker. Maria felt a surge of anger. You think I'm just going to vanish because you say so? You're wrong. I won T back down. Her words crashed through the usual rhythm of business negotiations. There was a fierceness there that she had never experienced before. It was liberating. The line went quiet for a moment. Jack glanced at her, surprised by her boldness, maybe even impressed. She could feel the energy shift like a window opening to the possibility of something greater than them. The man finally chuckled darkly, breaking the silence. You're a feisty little maid, aren't you? But let us not kid ourselves. You're playing with fire. Step too close, and you'll get burned. Why so threatened by a maid? Maria challenged, her heart racing. What's your real fear? That your money can't control people's hearts and values? There was a brief silence on the other end, and then the man scoffed. This isn't about fear. It's about survival. You're just a distraction, and distractions can be eliminated. Jack stepped forward. Eliminated? You're going to play God with people's lives, aren't you? You really think you can win this game by tearing someone down? The man's voice turned cold. I always win, Jack. Remember that. With a click, the line went dead, leaving a suffocating silence in its wake. Jack dropped the phone, his fists clenched with frustration. What have we gotten ourselves into? He means it. Maria took a deep breath, feeling the heat of her own resolve. We fight back. We document everything, every threat, every manipulation. We gather the workers, unite them. We're stronger together. He looked at her, admiration now flickering in his eyes. And if he retaliates? Let him, she said fiercely. We won't be crushed. Not anymore. In that moment, they forged an unspoken bond, standing taller as if the weight of injustice had lifted slightly from their shoulders. But just as a flicker of hope sparked within them, a loud pounding echoed on the penthouse door, jolting them both. People are here, Jack said, eyes wide. They heard the commotion? Are they coming for us? Maria glanced at the door, panic flickering in her chest. Or for our help? We don't know what they want. But we have to find out. They exchanged a quick look, hearts racing. Whoever was behind that door could change everything once more. As the pounding continued, they steeled themselves, ready to face whatever lay beyond. The fight had only just begun. Would they find allies or face new enemies? The future felt uncertain, but one thing was clear: together, they were willing to face it all. The pounding at the door intensified, each thud sending shockwaves through Maria's and Jack's bodies. It was as if the world outside was demanding them to acknowledge that their fight was growing bigger than just the two of them. Should we just open it? Jack asked, his voice tight with apprehension. Maria nodded, though uncertainty washed over her like ink in water, blurring their next steps. We have to. We can't hide. Whatever happens, we face it together. She took a step toward the door, heart in her throat, while Jack stood behind her, hands clenched into determined fists. Maria lifted her hand and turned the knob. The door swung open, revealing a small group of weary but fierce faces. Maria, a voice rang out, cutting through the tension. It was Lila, one of the waitstaff from the hotel, flanked by two others. Their clothes were disheveled and the weariness in their eyes spoke of long hours and hard days, but their spirit shone through. We heard you were in trouble, Lila continued, a steely defiance in her voice. And we're here to help. Relief flooded Maria, her emotional walls crumbling. You came for us? Of course. Lila insisted. We've had enough of this guy thinking he can boss us around. We're tired of being treated like we're invisible. It's time to stand together. Jack, seeing the determination in their expressions, felt a swell of hope. Do you know what he said? He's not going to back down without a fight. Good, Lila said fiercely. Neither will we. Their resolve ignited a fire within Maria. Suddenly, the fear that had clung to her like a wet blanket began to dissipate. We'll gather as many people as we can. We'll document everything. He can threaten us all he wants, but we won't be cowed into silence. As they spoke, more faces began to appear in the hallway. The frightened eyes of co-workers and friends who had also suffered under the oppressive weight of their employer stared back at them, united in purpose. It was transformative. Who's coming? Maria asked, glancing at the expanding group. All of us, said a tall man named Mike, stepping forward. He was an experienced bartender, known for his quick wit and charm, but there was a seriousness now that she had never seen. We want to fight back. We need to be heard. Maria felt tears prick her eyes but fought them back. This was a show of strength, not sorrow. With each word, her mind raced with possibilities. They could be more than just victims. They could be the voice that shook the foundations of corruption. Let us have a meeting, Jack suggested. We come up with a plan. We can't just react, we need to be proactive. Maria nodded, feeling the pull of leadership settle over her like a warm cloak. We can set up a base of operations here, gather intel, and strategize. We'll show him he's miscalculated. We're not just pawns in his game anymore. With newfound purpose, everyone crowded into the penthouse, a whirlwind of determination and ideas buzzing in the air. Maria felt the weight of their shared passion energizing her spirit. But as they brainstormed, contemplating next steps, a chilling realization settled over the room. What if their allyship drew the very wrath of their enemy they sought to unite against? A sudden buzz from Jack's phone snapped them to attention. He held it up, wide-eyed. It's a message from him. The silence fell heavy, anxiety blocking their breaths momentarily. Maria felt the thousand possibilities of what lay in that message suffocating her. Open it, she urged, her heart racing alongside the uncertainty. Jack looked at her, caught between fear and resolve. What if Maria interjected firmly. Whatever it is, we face it together, right? With one decisive tap, Jack opened the message, and the room collectively leaned in, bracing for whatever revelation could change everything again. What awaited them on the screen could either light their path forward or plunge them into darkness. Jack's finger hovered just above the screen as the group leaned closer, their breath held in collective anticipation. What would it say? Every heartbeat felt like thunder echoing through the silence, each second stretching into eternity. Finally, the message flashed into view. You think you can fight me? You have no idea who you're up against. Consider this your final warning. The consequences will be severe. I can make your lives a nightmare. The room erupted into an array of gasps and murmurs, unsettling ripples of fear drawing tight across faces that had moments ago glimmered with determination. Maria felt the blood drain from her face. Her hands trembled, gripping the edge of the table for support. What kind of nightmare? Mike whispered, a nervous energy coursing through him. I won't let him intimidate us, Maria insisted, her voice barely above a whisper yet cracked with defiance. This is just a power play. He's trying to scare us back into silence. But we can't give in. The faces around her mirrored uncertainty, doubts creeping back in like shadows at dusk. We need to prepare for what's to come, Jack added, his voice steady yet resolute. He knows how to manipulate fear, but we can't give him that power. Just then, Lila stepped forward, her brow furrowed with worry but also a flickering light of bravery behind her eyes. What if we go public? Get the media involved? The more people know, the harder it will be for him to retaliate without consequences. Lila's right. Another voice chimed in, filled with palpable hope. If we can rally support, we may have a chance to hold him accountable. We can create a wave. If he thinks he is untouchable, it's time we show him he isn't. The idea sparked renewed energy within the group. They began to share stories, grievances, and experiences that ignited a shared sense of justice. With every revelation, the fear that had entrenched them began to dissipate, revealing something stronger: solidarity. That's it. We can start a social media campaign, Maria suggested, growing animated. We gather evidence, stories, and testimonials from everyone who has faced his wrath. If we share it all together, he can't silence us. I can handle the tech side, Mike volunteered eagerly. I've dabbled in social media management. We can create a platform and a hashtag that will get people's attention. As they mapped out the plan, Maria felt electricity with every idea thrown into the ring. The very act of standing up felt like reclaiming pieces of themselves that had long felt lost. Yet amidst their excitement, Maria couldn't shake the gnawing worry. What would be the fallout if they failed? What if their fight only made things worse? She fought against the storm within her. They had to keep pushing forward. They were stronger together. Just then, the hair on the back of her neck prickled. An unsettling sense of being watched crept into her consciousness. She glanced out the window, half expecting to find shadows lurking just beyond their view. "Do you guys ever feel like?" she started, unable to complete her thought before Jack interrupted, his eyes growing wide with realization. "What if he is already watching us? He likely knows we're gathering. He is unpredictable, desperate." With that thought, the air in the room thickened with tension. Maria's heart dropped. What if they were already in danger? "Maybe we should take extra precautions," she suggested, her voice steady despite the tremors within. "We can't just act without preparing for retaliation." The group exchanged tense glances, and a hush fell over them again. They were about to plunge into a fight against a formidable foe, and they all understood the risks involved. As the weight of their next steps settled in, a jolt startled them. Jack's phone buzzed again, pulling the group's attention. He looked down and blanched, visibly losing color. "Guys," he breathed, "it's him again." Everyone leaned in again, holding their breath, the uncertainty saturating the air around them. Whatever awaited them next could change everything. Now what? Maria thought, feeling the edges of fear creep back in, even as hope flickered, stubborn and stubbornly resilient within her. The moment of truth was coming, and they knew they would soon have to make a choice that could shatter their newfound unity or bind them closer together. What lay ahead could be the beginning or the end. Jack stared at his phone, eyes wide as he processed the message. It felt like a brick had dropped into the pit of his stomach. "What does it say?" Maria asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Everyone leaned closer, straining to catch a glimpse of whatever words had sent Jack into this daze. It's another threat," Jack stammered, gripping the phone tightly. "He is saying that if we go through with our plan, we'll wish we hadn't. He promises to ruin us, each one of us." A wave of dread washed over the group. Maria's heart raced. She couldn't imagine what that would mean for her family, her friends. This wasn't just an abstract danger, it felt personal. "Do you think he knows what we're planning?" Lila's voice trembled slightly, betraying her usual bravado. "What if he wants to scare us off?" "He definitely does," Mike said, shaking his head. "He wouldn't have sent this otherwise. He is using fear to manipulate us." A tense silence filled the room as they all contemplated the implications of his words. The fire they had ignited just moments ago now flickered dangerously low, threatening to go out completely. Maria's fingers fidgeted with the edge of the tablecloth, her mind racing for a solution. "I think we need to make a counter-move," she spoke up, her voice gaining strength. "If he wants to intimidate us, then we have to show him we're not afraid." "What do you mean?" Jack asked, his brow furrowing. Let us not just sit here and wait for him to act. Let us push forward, reveal our campaign earlier than we planned. If he thinks we're already scared, he has already won. We have to flip his game. One by one, nods of agreement began to ripple through the group, a hesitant yet defiant resolve setting in. You're right, Jack finally said, straightening up. We need to take control instead of reacting. It's like he's playing a chess game, and we can't let him dictate the pace. Mike, feeling reinvigorated, jumped in. I can put together a preliminary post for our social media, drawing attention to our cause. We'll frame it as standing up against bullying and intimidation. If we can get it out there fast, maybe we can beat him to the punch. But we should make sure it's powerful, hit him where it hurts, Lila added, her eyes shining with determination. Let us make our voices as loud as possible. We want others to share our stories. Their plan began to take shape quickly as adrenaline surged through their veins. Words flew about the room like sparks. Maria felt alive, the fear swirling inside her transforming into fiery determination. But deep down, a cold shadow still lurked. What could this mean for her and the others? What kind of consequences could they face? As the energy grew, Maria stole a glance outside. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting an orange glow that splashed against the walls, creating an oddly comforting contrast to the chaos in her heart. Outside, life continued. People walked their dogs, kids rode bikes, couples strolled hand in hand, blissfully unaware of the battle brewing within the walls of their small gathering. Suddenly, Jack's phone buzzed again, jolting her from her thoughts. He looked down, his expression changing to a mix of confusion and apprehension. Guys, it's another message from him. Maria felt her breath catch in her throat. What now? She whispered, clutching her hands together, her heart thundering in her chest. Jack raised his eyes, the storm of emotion in them eclipsed by a dense uncertainty. He knows we're preparing to act. He says you haven't seen the worst of me yet. The group fell silent for a moment, dread pooling among them as Jack's words hung in the air. Could they fight against such a calculated enemy? Just then, a burst of noise rang from outside, laughter, cheers, voices humming with life. Against the backdrop of the ordinary world, they sat on the brink of chaos. Do we still go through with it? Mike asked, glancing around at the group. In that moment, Maria felt the weight of their shared decision. They were on the edge, and whatever came next could change everything for better or worse. Together, Maria said, her voice charging the air with new energy. We go together, no matter what. As they moved towards their decision, the tension tightened, leaving them to question what awaited them in the darkness lurking just beyond the bright glow of hope. The room buzzed with a mix of anxiety and adrenaline, as the weight of their decision settled upon them. Maria glanced around at her friends, their determined faces showing the same resolve. She felt tingles of electricity run through her, hoping that together they could push back against the looming threat. Jack, fiddling with his phone, cleared his throat. Let us not wait too long to act. The sooner we get our message out there, the faster we can shift the narrative, he said, his voice steady now. Mike was already typing away, his fingers dancing across the screen to compose their statement. This needs to hit home. We're not victims. We're standing up for ourselves and for anyone else who has been scared into silence. Each press of his keys seemed to build momentum, a battle cry forming through the glow of the device. Lila leaned in, a new light igniting in her eyes. What if we included real stories? Personal experiences that resonate? We need to let others know they're not alone. The group nodded in agreement, the sense of camaraderie weaving through them. Maria felt a swell of pride. They were tapping into something deeper, a collective energy that was both fierce and fragile. Before they could spiral into more planning, Maria felt the need to ground them. Let us take a beat. We need to be strategic, not just reactive. Every word we put out there can shape how this unfolds. Jack's eyes lit with recognition. Right. We should draft it carefully, maybe run it by each other before posting. If we're going to confront him, we must do it right. The furnace of determination now burned bright. They began to huddle around Mike's phone, brainstorming phrases and snippets of their experiences while the world outside continued bustling, unperturbed. But despite the energy in the room, Maria knew they were stepping into unknown territory. Questions rattled through her mind. What if their effort backfired? What if it provoked the aggressor further? Yet, in the depths of her fears, a small flame of hope flickered. Perhaps if they were bold enough, they could light a cause that would resonate beyond their immediate circle. Okay. Lila's voice shattered the moment of contemplation. Let us make this our turning point. It's not just about us anymore. It's about everyone who has felt powerless. With their hearts racing, they took turns voicing their stories. As they did, Maria could feel the intensity of what lay ahead burning brighter with each confession. Their laughter and their tears forged a bond not just as friends, but as warriors on a transformative journey. Suddenly, the text notification that had become an unwelcome rhythm in their gathering chimed again. It was another message from their oppressor. You'll regret this, it taunted. The air seemed to shift, the confidence that had bloomed moments before quickly snuffed out by fear. But Maria felt the stirring of resistance, the urge to push back against it. Don't let him scare you, she said fiercely. We're not going to cave. We are stronger than his words. Jack took a deep breath, gripping the phone tighter. We need to clarify what we're fighting for. This isn't just about resistance anymore, it's about truth and transparency. As they shared their stories, crafting a statement that felt raw yet powerful, Maria sensed the energy in the room shift once more. They were no longer just reacting. They were rising, their voices merging into a chorus that was hard to ignore. Finally, with a collective deep breath, they read their statement aloud. Each word hung in the air for a moment, a declaration that proclaimed hope over fear, light over darkness. As Maria spoke the final sentence, a wave of resolve washed over her. Her phone buzzed one more time, but this time, it wasn't just fear creeping back in. It was another notification from their first post, an influx of likes, supportive comments streaming in like a flood. But even with the moment of triumph, Maria felt a chill run down her spine. They had struck a match, but could they keep the flames steady against the oncoming storm? Around them, life continued outside, yet they stood on the edge of a precipice, unwavering. What awaited them in the days to come felt uncertain, but one thing was clear. They weren't backing down, and just as hope began to swell, Jack's phone pinged once more. This time, they all leaned in, heartbeats sinking with the anticipation in the air. You think you can shine? I'll show you a darkness you've never known. Maria's breath hitched. What lay ahead was not just a fight, it was a reckoning. How far would they be pushed before they would break? The atmosphere crackled with tension, thick enough to taste. Maria felt her pulse quicken, each heartbeat a reminder of what they had just set in motion. Jack's phone lay on the table, the latest message glowing ominously, echoing the threat that hung over their heads like a storm cloud. A darkness you've never known. What did that even mean? Guys, what if he takes this further? Mike's voice faltered, uncertainty creeping in. The words rolled off his tongue like lead. They had pushed back, but the thought of retaliation sent a shiver down Maria's spine. Lila, always the beacon of hope, broke the silence. We can't let fear define us. This is bigger than him. It's about everyone who has ever felt like they didn't have a voice. Her confidence was infectious, and Maria felt her heart ignite with that familiar fire again. Maria nodded, her mind spinning. We need to be prepared. If he decides to escalate, we can't be caught off guard. We should think about how to respond to any backlash. The weight of their responsibility was heavy, but it was also empowering. A plan began to form in her mind. I'll monitor social media for any comments or threats, Jack suggested. If he tries to stir up trouble, we'll find out immediately. His eyes shone with determination. Me too, Mike chimed in. I can keep an eye on his usual tactics. The last thing we want is for him to surprise us. A quiet understanding settled in the group. Each of them grasped for a sense of control in the whirlwind of feelings swirling around. Instead of cowering, they could take charge and navigate through the turmoil together. Then, Maria remembered something. We need allies. Friends, family, anyone who believes in what we're fighting for. The more voices we have, the stronger we'll be. That seemed to spark something in them. They each started to pull out their phones, ready to reach out and gather support. One by one, they began to craft messages, rallying a community around their cause, fortifying a shield against the inevitable backlash. Hours passed as they connected with others who had faced similar challenges. Supportive texts flooded in, encouraging words that felt like rays of sunshine piercing through the clouds of anxiety. But the looming shadows couldn't be ignored, and Maria couldn't shake the dread building within her. Do you think he is capable of something worse? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The room fell silent, and the gravity of her words settled like a stone in the pit of her stomach. Jack looked up from his phone, an intense focus in his gaze. You know, we're already fighting the battle against fear. We can't let it consume us. If he does something, we'll be ready. Just then, a sharp ping echoed through the room. Another message, this time from their oppressor. I warned you. Don't say I didn't try to help you. It's only going to get messier from here on out. Maria's stomach twisted. The chill of reality seeped into her bones. What does he mean by that? She murmured, sharing a sidelong glance with Lila, who was biting her lip in concern. Whatever it is, we won't face it alone, Lila said, her voice steadier than Maria felt inside. The tension remained, but their collective determination forged a strong barrier against the encroaching uncertainty. They rallied together, each one facing their fear head-on, words of support and strength pooling among them. Maria realized it wasn't just about confronting a single voice anymore. It was about awakening countless others who had felt silenced. They were fighting for a cause much larger than themselves. As they made plans to spread their message further, Maria couldn't help but wonder how deep the darkness really reached. Every new message, every comment from their oppressor, felt like a wave crashing against their fragile fortress. But they had each other. The shared strength of their bond felt electric. Whatever came next, they decided in unison, they would meet it head-on, declaring that this fight was far from over. Just as they prepared to wrap up the meeting, Jack's phone pinged. Again. Curious, they all leaned in, hearts racing. You think you're brave? Wait until you see what I have in store for you. With hearts pounding double time, Maria's mind raced. What kind of storm were they truly walking into? The morning dawned bright and crisp, a stark contrast to the heaviness that lingered in Maria's heart. She stood at the window of Jack's penthouse, gazing out over the bustling city below. The world felt alive and buzzing, and yet, there was an uneasy silence hanging in the room. Together, they had built a fortress of courage, but the looming threat felt as tangible as the chill in the air. Jack walked in, his brow furrowed, eyes heavy with responsibility. We need to take action, he said, determination settling in his voice. If he thinks intimidation will work, he's got another thing coming. Maria felt the fire of resolve rising within her. We go to the media today. No more waiting. We can't let him dictate our next move. The group had rallied behind her idea yesterday, and now it felt like the right moment to seize that momentum. Lila took a deep breath, her hands steady. I'll coordinate our stories, reach out to anyone who can share their experiences. We have to showcase how his actions impact real families, how it's not just business, but lives. The power of their collective voices pulsed through Maria, and the night's fears began to fade ever so slightly. Then we create a press release, Mike added. Something that hits hard. We need to craft our narrative and make sure it's heard. Each team member jumped in, invigorated by purpose. Words flowed like a river, each story building upon another, creating a potent wave of truth, but just as they began to finalize their campaign, an unsettling sense brushed against Maria's consciousness. At that moment, Jack's phone buzzed again, vibrating violently against the table. They all froze, glancing at each other, thoughts racing. "What now?" Maria murmured, dread pooling in her stomach. Jack picked up the device, his fingers hesitating before he finally turned it around. "It's from him. A video message." They collectively held their breath as Maria leaned in closer, each person's heart pounding as Jack pressed play. The video flickered to life, showing the imposing figure of their nemesis, slick and sinister. "So you finally decided to fight back, huh?" His smile was sharp, predatory. "I admire your courage, but you've underestimated me. I'm not easily toppled. I have resources, allies, and I want to play fair." Maria felt a bead of sweat trickle down her back as he continued, "If you think this is just a game, let me show you what real darkness looks like. I'll ruin the lives of everyone you care about." Anger flared in her chest. This was no longer just a business battle, it was personal. "We need to remain strong," she whispered, turning to Jack as the video ended, his expression somber. "This is his last desperate attempt to scare us." Jack's jaw clenched as he looked around at their faces, each one reflecting some measure of fear yet also something stronger: determination. "We can't show weakness. We show strength, and we fight together." But deep down, Maria wrestled with doubt. What lengths would he go to? Were they truly ready for what was coming? Quietly, she stood up, steadying her breath. "Let us contact the journalists. I know a few who care about real stories. They'll see the vulnerability behind the corporate facade, and they won't shy away from a fight." Her voice was soft, yet it surged with unwavering conviction. Jack nodded, visibly bolstered by her words. "All right. Let us take this message out into the light. We won't hide in shadows anymore. If he has the resources, then we gather our community." One by one, they pulled out their phones, their resolve crystallizing under the weight of this moment. Texts flew out, messages of shared courage and the call for unity among their co-workers and local allies. As they prepared to unleash their newfound spirit, Maria glanced outside once more, taking in the city that pulsed with life, a world ready for change and empowered by the truth. Hours passed as phone calls were made, strategies were rolled out, and even the clouds above them began to part. With each update, rumors of their determined stand spread through the community, igniting something that had long been dormant. Jack leaned into Maria, his voice low but fierce. "We're doing it. Together, we'll turn this tide." He looked into her eyes, seeing not just a maid but a warrior fueled by a love for her children and a deep sense of justice. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a buzz of excitement coursed through the group. Their voices, the voices of the silenced, all joined together. They were warriors facing relentless storms, their hearts forged together by desperation for change. Later that night, just before the final touches to their campaign rolled out, the atmosphere shifted again as Jack's phone buzzed once again, an unexpected message that shocked them all. They leaned in, full of hope and trepidation mixed into one swirling anticipation. The message read, "You're making a mistake. The real fight hasn't even started." As fear threatened to rise again, Maria lifted her chin, eyes aflame with courage. "We've faced his threats already. We won't back down. We're stronger together. Let us make sure he knows it." With fierce intent, they posted their statement, a beacon of hope and defiance, echoes of truth rippling through the night. Their voices could not and would not be silenced. As the first light of dawn broke through the windows, illuminating their fierce expressions, they stood united, ready to take on whatever came next. But one thing was certain: they were no longer alone. Together, they were an indomitable force fueled by the light of hope, undeterred in the face of darkness. And just like that, their fight truly began. "Now, let us keep this momentum going. You need to subscribe now to catch the next chapter of this incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to see it. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your thoughts and feelings about this inspiring transformation. Let us make our voices heard together.